fabric materials sometimes can be a little bit difficult to create in 3D or in Blender, and sometimes it's just a pain in the head to create it for someone like a beginner in Blender. So today I'm gonna show that it's not that difficult and it's pretty easy and straightforward how to create procedural material like fabric in Blender. If you want to support this channel, you can become a Patreon where you have access to all the tutorial files like this one that I'm gonna show you today, and you have much more perks like suggest your own tutorial to appear here in this channel. And if you want to support this channel, this is just the best way. Alright guys, so with no further ado, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and let's go to Blender. Let's create here a simple setup on our 3D scene to be better for you guys to see what is going on with our material. So first of all, let's click A to select everything, X to delete it, Shift A to add here a UV sphere, and now we have an amazing hotkey that is control and every single number that you want. I'm gonna click on 2 to add 2 levels of subdivision, and you can see right over here that we added a subdivision modifier. I'm gonna click over here and apply it. You can apply it with Ctrl A. Alright, now we just click with our sphere selected, click on the right button of your mouse and shade smooth. Let's add here a plane. With S we can scale it, so let's scale it a little bit like that. Alright, and with G we can move it to wherever we want. We only want to move it on the Z-axis, so let's click G, Z, and let's move it on only the Z-axis. Right over there, it's perfect. And we're gonna add here a cloud simulation, so for that we need to add some subdivisions to our plane, because now we only have one face, 4 vertices and 4 edges, so let's subdivide it. To subdivide the plane, click on the right button of your mouse and click on subdivide, and it will appear here a small window that is called subdivide, and we can change the number of cuts. Let's change this to 50. Let's select here our sphere, go to the physics panel right over here and add here a collision. Let's do the same to our plane, but we're gonna add a cloud simulation. Okay, now just scroll down over here on the collisions. Let's just activate here the self collisions. Let's open the cache menu. Now we're gonna just go to our 0 frame and let's click on our spacebar. Alright, now you just need to select what frame works better for you. For me, I think the 46 it's perfect, so I'm gonna go over here to the end frame of the simulation and let's put here our frame that we've selected. I'll select the 46, so just like that, and we're gonna click on bake. And this will bake until the 46 frame. Now we're gonna add a shade smooth, and you can see that we have some weird things going on because we need more subdivision. So let's click on Ctrl 2 and we have added 2 levels of subdivision. Let's apply here our cloud simulation. After our subdivision, we're gonna add a solidify. Why this solidify? Because we need to add some thickness to our edges. Apply the subdivision and let's go to our shading panel. Alright, here on our shading panel, we can click here on our sphere and let's click X to delete it. We don't need that anymore. And let's add here a new material. I'm gonna call it fabric. Just unplug this to our material output. We don't need it just yet. So the first thing that we're gonna do is to add a wave texture. You can use a lot of textures to create this fabric material, and you can even combine them with each other to create a different fabric material, a different output of that fabric material. So you have a lot of ways to create fabric, and that works to all of the materials. You have a lot of ways to create the same material. So now to add a wave texture, click Shift A, click on search and search wave texture. First of all, let's go over here to our edit on preference, and on our add-ons let's search to Node Wrangler and activate the Node Wrangler, because with the Node Wrangler activated we can click Ctrl Shift and the left mouse button and we can preview our wave texture just like that. And now let's click Ctrl T to add a mapping and a texture coordinate. First of all, we can see that we have some weird things going on here with our material. These lines are not straight. So let's go over here to our texture coordinate, and now we plug the UV to the vector of our mapping, and now we don't have any problems right now. I don't really need this mapping node, so I'm gonna delete it and put here on our vector. I'm gonna change the scale of this wave texture to 80 and the detail to the maximum. Click Shift D to duplicate this wave texture. You can do this in 2 ways. You can duplicate this wave texture just by himself, or you can click Ctrl Shift D and you can duplicate it with already being plugged in to our texture coordinate. Now we're gonna just change one simple thing on this second wave texture. We're gonna change the bend directions to Y. Alright, and you can see over here, and now we're gonna mix them together. So let's go and select these two wave textures. We need to add a mix RGB or a mix color node. You can go and click Shift A search and search for a mix color right over here, but there is a better way to do it, like just clicking Ctrl 0 and we add a mix color node. You can see that now they are being mixed together. We want to separate them and then mix them together. So for that, let's add here a math node. If you already understood what we are creating a square fabric pattern. Let's click here and change to greater than. And let's do the same to our second wave texture. Alright. And now you can see that now we have our square pattern done. So we need to separate the colors to have a better control on our texture. For that, let's click Shift A and add here a color ramp. Plug this to the factor. Let's duplicate this mix color and plug this right over here. This second mix color, we're gonna plug this color ramp to the factor. First of all, let's click Ctrl Shift and preview our color ramp. Let's just bring this down until we only see the white squares. I think this is looking pretty good. Now we can change here the color A to black, and this color B will be the color of our squares. Now we have the control for one of our squares, so let's add another control for the other squares. So Shift D on this color ramp, click here on this point, and to reset the color ramp just click on the delete key, and that's it. We have resetted our color ramp. Let's plug this factor to the result. Shift D to duplicate our mix color again, plug this color to the factor, and this result of this second mix color to our color A. And now if you preview our color ramp and bring this down, we're gonna do the same as we have done to this one. So to change that, we just need to flip this color ramp, and now if we bring this until we only see these white squares, plug this mix to our material output, you can see that now I can change this color to whatever I want and this one to whatever I want, and I have a lot more control over this texture. So let's just reset this, plug this result to the base color and the principal BSDF to the material output, and let's change some things. First of all, we're gonna change the roughness to something like 0.7. So to add a fabric material or to add a fabric effect, we just need to change here the sheen. So let's put the weight on 1, play with these values to whatever you want. Something like that I think is looking pretty good. On our specular, let's just bring this a little bit up. We can use the subsurface to have some different shades in our fabric. So for that, we're gonna bring the weight of our subsurface to 1, and we're gonna add here a mix color. So Shift D on this one, plug this factor to the first mix color, and let's plug the result to the radius. And now the color B will be what will change our simple color detail. Alright, now let's add some simple details to our fabric. For that, we're gonna go over here and we're gonna duplicate this wave texture one more time. You know that if we only click Shift D, we're gonna only duplicate this wave texture, but I want to duplicate it with already the vector plugged in, so Ctrl Shift D. Let's just change one thing. Let's change here the bands to X, and let's bring the scale to 100. Let's bring the distortion to 6. You can see what is going on right over here. Let's bring the detail to 15, and that's it. Alright, now we have these bands distorted. Plug this to the normal. But when we plug this to the normal, nothing will literally work because we are plugging this texture to a normal map. So for that, we need to filter that color to a normal. So for that, let's add here a bump node and plug this right over here. Change here the normal to the height. Let's preview this bump. Bring the strength a little bit down, something like that works perfectly. And let's see how it is working. Alright, much better. This is basically the simple fabric material. You can do something much different. If you change here the render engine to cycles and GPU, go over here to the material, scroll down, go to settings. Here on settings, we can change the displacement to displacement and bump. Now we can add some displacement. So let's go over here to our render preview, add here a displacement, and let's select the height to the color of our wave texture. And with this displacement, we can add something like a furry texture to our fabric. Now it's too much, so let's change here the scale to like 0.01. And we can do much more than just that. We can add another wave texture with the Y band direction and then mix them together and then use that to the displacement, and it will displace all bands to every direction that they are, because right here we have X and Y. If we add here an X and Y, it will add a displacement to every single band that we have right over here. Alright guys, this was a tutorial. I hope everyone understood this tutorial and how to create this procedural material. It's not so difficult to create it, it's much easier than you think. Just play with these nodes to have some different outputs and some different effects. If you want to have access to this tutorial file, go check it out my Patreon page. There you have access to all the tutorials that you have seen here on this channel. So that's it guys, don't forget to subscribe and give a like on this video, and I see you in the next one. Bye!